Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the evolution of IHWE Q&A. All right, what we're going to be talking about today is how this company has evolved over the years. Let me set the stage for you. In 1998, Insane Hardcore Wrestling was born in Fort Worth, Texas. It was three punk kids who just wanted to wrestle, and we did it in a backyard off of Trail Lake Drive in Fort Worth, Texas. And we didn't have any fanfare. We weren't really hurting anybody because nobody knew what we were doing. We weren't selling any tickets, nothing like that. Fast forward a few months later, we had acquired a ring. We had been going to the Friday night NWA Southwest cards, and we had started to meet some of the NWA superstars, such as a man sitting right here, Rodney Mack. So for whatever reason, we wanted Rodney and some of the other NWA superstars to come over and help us. I had met Johnny Valentine, the late great Hall of Famer, and he had started to show me the ropes, but I had never fully finished training, and we were doing this backyard thing, and people either saw us for what we were. People said, these guys have got their eye on something, or people saw us as they're hurting the business, and both points were valid. We were learning, we were trying to learn, and the more and more shows we did, the more and more popular they got. Fast forward today, we're in this beautiful building, we have this fantastic lineup, and we have worked with some of the biggest names in professional wrestling today, and it is a true success story. So today, we have some people here to talk about IHWE, Texas Wrestling, the old IHW. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Or bring the microphone over to you, or you can come right over here. And let me introduce the dignitaries here with me today. Dignitaries. I bet you that's the first time everybody's ever called you a dignitary.
They've called me a lot of dick.
Yeah, something that sounds similar. All right, let me start down here. The CEO of XCW out of Denton, Texas, and the former general manager of IHWE, and he's still a huge part of the organization and an advocate for what we do, Nite Davis. One of the founding fathers, a guy I've known since we were in the 3rd grade, and we've loved wrestling all this time, and we've either been the best of friends or the worst of friends, Bryan Ryder. This man needs no introduction. Tonight he will be challenging for the IHWE Heavyweight Championship against Charlie Haas. He is a Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame inductee, Rodney Mack. The former IHW Light Heavyweight Champion. He was part of the Overboyz. He was part of Alumni. A true visionary. The Playboy, Joey Corman. A man who was the first actual voice of IHW Wrestling. He was also the first voice of NWA Southwest Wrestling. He's called many, many world championship matches over the years, and he's one of the true voices of Texas wrestling, Johnny T. And of course, I'm just David Fuller. Thank you. So, anyway, I'm going to give everybody here an opportunity to say something before we get started with the questions. So, Johnny T, go ahead and start.
Well, I'm going to start first by giving a more proper introduction. This is not just David Fuller. This is the founder, the driving force, the man who for more than 15 years now has made this possible and has now become really one of the key figures in the Dallas-Fort Worth wrestling scene, the man who's kind of merging the current and future wrestling, paying homage to the past, the man who created what is now the Cauliflower Alley Club Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame. This is the original Texas bad boy, Vengeance David Fuller.
That's a hell of a
And we get to see him in the ring tonight, I believe. So.
Hope he's been working out. What are we supposed to do?
All right, first of all, congratulations on what you've done over the years, Mr. Fuller, sir. It's Keith, so, okay, well. First of all, I started out with, I met Keith back in 1999, I believe. I was brand new in the professional wrestling business, and he offered me a spot on one of his shows in Fort Worth for IHW. And me being brand new to the business, I took every opportunity that I could get. And so I was very fortunate that I met him at the time that I did, because believe it or not, working with him opened some doors for me. I met some people and I got some more things going on in my career. And I always said, actually over a decade ago, I said that you should probably be nice to Keith because he had heart. And he would probably be one of the only guys left in the DFW area promoting wrestling, and here we are today, and the proof is right here. And I always said that it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask permission. So he followed his heart, and he started a wrestling company in his yard, and here we are today. So congratulations, man, and thanks for having me out for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, glad to be here, guys. Red Dog, Rodney, Mack. A lot of you guys don't know me, and I know why, because I ain't nobody. But anyway, this started a long time ago, and like Keith and the rest of them said, this started in the backyard with kids who had a vision and a dream. And, you know, they came to me and asked me for a little help, and I'm more than happy and proud that I was able to, you know, to reach out to them and help them. I saw a bunch of kids that had a drive. They had a lot of passion for the business, and I just wanted to see them succeed. And once again, we started in the backyard, literally with no ring, and here we are today with, he's put together probably one of the finest companies in the state of Texas. And I want to take my hat off to him, and very proud of him and everybody that's helped him. So thank you for having me.
Like David said, we'd met in 3rd grade. Our relationship was basically forged through wrestling, our love of wrestling. And there's not a thing on these shows that I haven't done. I've wrestled, I've promoted, I've announced, I've refereed. I've sat in the back and watched better people wrestle, because believe me, there's a lot better people than me. I'm amazed at what it's grown to. Like you've heard them say, we started in a backyard. It's true. It was me, David, and David's brother-in-law rolling around in the dirt and hitting each other with whatever random crap we can get our hands on. Throwing each other through doors, cookie sheets, random crap I found in my grandpa's backyard, jumping off of stuff we shouldn't have jumped on. And I still feel every one of those moves to this day. That's not necessarily a good thing, but it's the truth. And as much as it hurts, I probably still wouldn't change any of it. So.
I'm probably the one guy that they really don't want to talk about how they got started, because I didn't agree with it. I fought them tooth and nail. There's many. I'm humming too. Here, take this one, and I'll take this non-humming one. And me and David didn't get along forever, up until probably a couple years ago. So mainly because, you know, I came into the business through a hard way with a guy that actually worked in his backyard, although I don't think he'll admit it today, but he might. So, but all these guys here on this panel at some point in time have worked for me, and now I'm working for him because he has changed the way he does things. I don't recommend that this is the way you do any of it. David's fortunate enough that he's struggled and fought through, dug himself through the mud and brought himself out of pits. There's another avenue you can go through that's probably a little easier, and Dave would tell you that. Yeah. But you got to commend the guy for at least struggling and fighting through it, becoming. I'm either sitting underneath a speaker, but luckily, unlike these guys, I can wheel forward. So, but anyway, no, I mean, I'm here to support him. I'm here to support these guys. I'm here to support this promotion because it has turned a corner. It's something that most people wouldn't do. Most people would still be sitting in a backyard, still claiming some crap, still trying to ride that glory of, there was a time that, there was a video game about backyard wrestling and had a bunch of clowns in it and a bunch of other crap, and they'd still be riding that glory. And then he learned from the guys he surrounded himself with, like Rodney here and Joey and several other guys, Bart back here behind me, that have gone, hey bro, there's other ways to do this, and there's a bigger world you can be part of. And now you got a Texas history, you have a Hall of Fame, you have a lot of that stuff, and it's all thanks to this guy. So thank you for having me. I'm here to support you, and I guess I'm supposed to open it to questions. Yes. All right, so come ask a question.
That'll be Fuller's. Anybody? Just directly. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So, well, I'll ask a question because I'm curious about this. Red Dog, when Red Dog came into the business, everybody knew there was a guy. There's the guy. He's gonna. I don't know how long it's gonna take him, but he's gonna be the guy. And sure enough, he was. So, I don't know why we gravitated towards, well, I know why we did, because we saw it. We were like, oh man, this guy's, the first time I saw Red Dog, he was getting rolled up in about 30 seconds by a guy named Scott Putski at NWA Southwest. And we didn't understand. We were like, we didn't really think it made any sense then. And Jazz is hollering behind us saying every word I can't say here now. But, we just knew. And then within just a few months, Rodney was the guy that you wanted on your show. If you wanted your show to be at the top level and to be recognized by the magazines and the newsletters, and you wanted, man, I have been on so many shows over the years. That's all I used to do. Rodney will tell you, Joey too. We'd get in a car and we'd just drive. And I would just go, whether I wrestled, whatever. They would take me to these shows and they'd tell me, okay, we need you to sell gimmicks tonight, or we need you to referee or announce. I got thrown in mud one night. I did whatever I needed to do because it was all learning experience. Everything I did, bad, good, or indifferent, brought me to where I'm at today. So, we watched you, and then you became the NWA Texas Heavyweight Champion. And then everybody knew you were the guy. You were the guy, but you would still come out and do the backyard. And it wasn't the money, I know that for a fact. And you would stay with us and you would look out for us, and I never really truly understood what it was. I mean, there was so many that just kind of wrote us off and said, okay, that guy doesn't know what he's doing. And he did. And not that they didn't have any valid point, because at the time I was young and I wanted to do things my way, and I could understand that. Wrestling, the reactions were very warranted. I didn't understand at the time. People were allowed to react any way they wanted to. What about us, especially after you came the first time and you saw, okay, this is literally in a backyard. It wasn't just a metaphor. What kept you coming back?
Well, it goes back to when I was broke into business. Junkyard Dog and Rod Price done me a tremendous favor by taking me under their wing, and because they saw the passion that I had and the love for the game. And I always asked Junkyard Dog and Rod Price, what could I ever possibly do to repay them? And they told me to do the same for someone else. So every time that I saw somebody who had passion and had love for the game, I tried to step out the box and reach out to them and do for them what was done for me. So, and I saw that in you guys, and I also saw at the time the business was it was coming to that point where we didn't have as many guys, the people like Bart here and all the older guys around to help. They were kind of fading off. And I felt that that was my responsibility as to give back to the game in order to try to help the business out as much as I possibly could. And I was also told that don't just waste it on anyone who didn't want it. But I saw you guys had that passion and that love for it, so that's what kept me coming back.
I'm gonna stand up here and I'm gonna walk around and I'm gonna get some opinions on people. I think we could all talk about a guy who we all know, and his name is Necro Butcher. And if you don't know Necro Butcher, I'm getting a phone call, and yeah, well, I've got my Bluetooth in.
I have a question. Who's calling?
It's an 800 number, so I don't want to answer it. Okay. Anyway, Necro Butcher, some of you may know, some of you may not know, but Necro Butcher was a guy who in 1998, he called me on the phone and he said, hey, I'm doing this thing down here. It's Private Dylan Summers, and I was trained by Black Bart, and Bart is kayfabing me right now. Yes, he is, because he knows who I'm talking about. But anyway, this guy wanted to do something different, and he said, here's what I want to do. And at the time, we'd let anybody wrestle for us. If you go back and watch our shows, you'd just see, okay, and that's where his opinion came in, and it was very warranted, like I said. But Necro Butcher, he came in, and he was the hardcore, and he took hardcore to a new extreme, and he was doing the light tubes and the thumbtacks. You may remember him from The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. He was the guy that Mickey Rourke wrestled before Mickey Rourke collapsed in the locker room. And I believe he is the only professional wrestler to ever be mentioned in the Academy Awards. So Necro's done quite well for himself over the years. But at the time, this guy was very odd, but nobody would ever accuse him of not going in there and giving it his all. What are your thoughts? Because you had a close relationship with him over the years.
Dylan's an animal. He's a whole nother breed of person that I don't know if you can explain him, to be honest. That guy is a guy who was bound and determined to do something in this business that he knew he was never going to be a pretty boy, because he looks like he got hit by a Mack truck, and he knew he wasn't going to be a great technical wrestler because he just didn't have the skill for it, although he is very good. And there was a lot of competition, so he knew that Vince McMahon wasn't going to call him, so he needed to go make a name for himself doing something else. This is more his words than they are mine. He lived with me for a little while right before he did the movie, and he's a good friend of mine. I love him to death, so I'm not quite sure what your question is. Like, does he belong? Absolutely. He's got his part. He's got his role. I think he sticks to it. I don't think he tries to venture out beyond that. So I have a lot of respect for him for what he does and how he goes about it. Sometimes he's a little questionable, but yeah, he's got his deals.
He's very stubborn. He's extremely stubborn.
Absolutely.
Joey, we ran up and down with him. Your thoughts on Dylan?
The first time I ever saw him perform in the ring, he was Private Dylan Summers, and I was like, it's G.I. Jobber. That was basically the first thing and I wasn't one to talk because I was nobody, but I just called him G.I. Jobber. And then a couple months go by and he comes out with this insane Necro Butcher gimmick, which I thought was cool because I was a big fan of Mayhem, a black metal band that a lot of people don't know that their drummer, it was Hellhammer, that used to be his tag team partner, and their bass player was... So anyway, nonetheless, I was a big fan. I was like, hey, this guy knows a little bit about Norwegian black metal, all right. And then I watched him kind of progress over the years. And the thing about any kind of entertainment business is you have to be somewhat of a character, so to speak. And I don't mean that in the ring. I mean that just there's something wrong with pretty much everybody in the entertainment business. There's something wrong with them. So they have to have some kind of screw loose. And Dylan definitely has a screw loose. But he was one of those guys that he came up with a niche, and he found out, he said, I watched an interview with him. He was still the same guy that I met 15, 16 years ago. And he said there was no reason that some hillbilly from West Virginia should have lived the life that I've lived. And so he's thankful for what he's done, but he found a niche. He knew he wasn't the best technical wrestler, like Nite said. Although he was very good at being a technical wrestler, he knew he wasn't going to be the best technical wrestler. He knew he wasn't going to be pretty. So he had to find his niche, and he found his niche, and it worked out well for him. You know, I'm happy for his success. He's a nice guy, but he is a bit of a lunatic.
Basically, another thing I wanted to tell you folks about is the future of IHWE. Some of the things I have in my mind are, obviously now we are partnered with the National Wrestling Alliance, and I'm extremely proud of that. It didn't just come overnight, and I really do like where the organization is headed, the NWA. And I've had meetings after meetings with the management, James Beard, Bruce Tharp. We got the NWA Heavyweight Champion, Jack Stain, here tonight. And I feel like together we can help one another out, and that's what we're going to do. But we've got a lot of big plans. There's going to be a huge digital media initiative. We're going to just bring a lot of different wrestling to you via the social and digital media. We want to get more stuff online. We're looking into several different avenues to get this out to you. I think we've come a really long way. I would have never imagined ever sitting in Chris Wolf's duplex. He had his little duplex, and on Sunday afternoons, it would be full of wrestlers, and you've got men the size of Crusher and Awesome Kong changing in the bedroom, and it's definitely a sight to see. So, we've really come a long way, but the bottom line is we wouldn't be where we're at today without all of you. You all have supported us, and there's some of you have supported us for years and have hung with us during the evolution. As Nite said, we struggled. We climbed out of the pit. It wasn't just, I kind of use an example. When you first get out of high school and you want to get out on your own and you don't have the luxury of living at the university, but you don't want to live with your parents, so you get this little crappy studio apartment and you live there, and your roommates might be cockroaches, whatever, and you're living on ramen noodles. Well, that's essentially what we had to do for so long. We had to do this, and we had to do this, and maybe not had to, but we wanted to be in this business. And we thought, okay, the goal was to get right where we're at today. This is where we wanted to be, and this is where we are. We wanted to be drawing big crowds at a wonderful building like this, and we've had this great community of Crowley. They've embraced us, they've welcomed us, they've opened their arms to us, and I think it's a really cool deal. So we've really turned the corner. We've got a big show here tonight. So we're going to get ready for action here very, very shortly. And so I'm going to hand it over to my colleagues and see if they have anything they want to say to y'all before, if there is anybody that wants to ask anything. This is kind of an unusual outlet, and a lot of you weren't around for our history, so a lot of you probably don't know what to ask. You're just enjoying the stories that we're telling, and that's okay. But I know you came here to see the wrestling. Are you ready for some IHWE action tonight? That's what you want to see, okay. Well, like I said, we've turned the corner, we've evolved over the years. You said you had to go to work an hour ago. I just realized that. Todd Heck, ladies and gentlemen, my first manager, Todd Heck. So, anyway, I called him out. He's done it to me for years, so he got it. So anyway, hand it over to my colleagues if they want to say anything before we get out of here and get ready for some wrestling. But I really do appreciate all the support over the years. Y'all are at every show we do, and there's a lot of you that are, and I can't thank you enough. It really means a lot to me. So here's Johnny T.
All right, well, I'll just give you a brief history of my association with this gentleman, David Fuller. We talked a little bit about going all the way back to the backyard days, but then I worked with NWA Southwest and a lot of the Southwest regional promotions, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Texas, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then I was out of it for a while, and I was watching David, and I just thought, this kid was crazy, but I always supported him because he had such great enthusiasm and such great passion. And sometimes I thought, I don't know why he thinks this is going to work, or he's going to do this, or or he's going to show up in Louisiana at a battle royal with the one-man gang and think that that's going to work out. But somehow it did. And then I saw, I moved away out of Texas, and I see IHWE doing shows at legit buildings, civic centers, auditoriums, rec centers. And then I moved back to Texas, and I get a call from David, and he's been out of it for a few years, and he's like, I know you're back in Texas, Johnny T. Well, first of all, then he started the Hall of Fame. Starts off as the IHWE Hall of Fame, honoring some of the guys who were involved with the IHWE over the years, morphs into the Texas Wrestling Hall of Fame, honoring some of the guys and ladies who were involved in just the Texas wrestling scene going back, outside of IHWE. Cauliflower Alley Club, the most recognized name in the history of pro wrestling, comes in and says, let's turn this into the Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame and expand it even further. And I tell you what, a lot of people laughed and snickered, and maybe still do, when the IHWE Hall of Fame started off. But, right now, there's a lot of big players in the industry that recognize the Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame through the CAC, and it's turned into a really great thing for fans, and the wrestlers, and they really appreciate it. So it's really turned into something. Then, I get a call. David Flores says, okay, I'm going to do 2 shows next year, and then I'm done. It's my swan song. I'm doing 2 shows. And he tells me where it's going to be, at this really nice venue. He tells me the people he's bringing in and how much it costs to rent out the venue. And, I'm thinking to myself, I'm just like, here's David again. This guy's insane, but I'm going to support him. I'm going to be there, but I don't think this is going to end well. Well, I show up at the first show, and there's like more than 500 people there. There's people paying, $20 for ringside seats, and it turned out well. And then the second show, and the Dallas Cowboys are playing the Redskins at the same time as the show, and there's all this going against it, but 250, 300 people show up, and the show turns out great. And then goes into the next year, and now it's into the next year, and things have just gone really well. So all I'm going to say is, don't bet against this guy. Don't bet against the IHWE, because this guy's come a long way. He's got a great vision. It's a good assembly of talent. The shows are great. The fans are great. And it's never been better.
My tag partner and I hit the road, and we traveled, and we worked for a lot of promotions that would be considered big-time promotions in the indies for a while there. We worked for Combat Zone before Ring of Honor existed. We worked for IPW in Florida. We worked for Barron's in Georgia. We worked for some pretty good-sized companies, but it never stopped us from coming back and working for Fuller. I haven't went to a wrestling show on purpose in years and years and years, and I came to this show because of the respect that I have for Fuller. This is a guy that started out pushing such luminaries as Scott Mustaine and the Psycho Clown. And now here we are with guys like Rodney, Mack, Red Dog. We got Black Bart in attendance. Charlie Haas is here. He inducts someone like Stan Hansen into the Hall of Fame. Forget Stan Hansen. Hell, James Beard is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. So we've turned a corner. We have turned a corner, and I can't be more proud of you. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, if I don't say so myself. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Right. Well, you heard it. I mean, these guys pretty much said it all, man. I can only repeat what these guys said. Once again, I'm fortunate to be around a guy who had a vision and the passion to follow up on it. Like he said, this guy went from booking guys who didn't even have shorts.
What you talking about, man? Street milk.
Oh, yeah, street milk, right? To famous guys, like Black and James Beard and everyone else around here. And this, man, I don't know what else to say, but kudos to you, Keith, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you, sir.
You've heard the term a couple nights, a couple times tonight, the evolution of IHWE. Let me tell you about the most important evolutionary moment of IHWE. A lot of promoters all across the country, they will run wrestling shows specifically so they can give themselves a title, put themselves in the main event. And I believe IHWE got immensely better as soon as me and David quit doing that exact same thing. I am willing to admit I feel I'm a good hand. I can go in there and put in a good match. But I'm also realistic that I understand people are not coming to see me. I am not a superstar. I never was, and I never will be. But I have a good grip of what's going on, and I feel like I can help out on shows and do my thing here and there. As soon as it quit being, Bryan Balls Ryder versus Vengeance David Fuller, best 2 out of 3 for the Warehouse Championship, people started showing up. So that takes a decision. That takes an ability to remove yourself from the product and realize what's going on and realize what's best for the product. We grew up. We have a love for wrestling, and that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see this area become hot again. We want to see shows like, regardless of whether it's us or somebody else, we want to see 500 people, 600 people. We want to see 2,000 people just blowing the roof off of a building because there's nothing but pure talent in the ring. And I believe we're well on our way to doing that. So if you'll follow us, I really believe in a couple years you're going to see some amazing things coming out of IHWE.
Let me expand on what this man just said. Look, here's the deal. That's probably the hardest thing a promotion will go through. I mean, who doesn't? Does anybody in this room not want to get in this ring and become the champ right now? No one. Everybody would take the opportunity, at least try. You might get beat up, but you're going to get hey, I got an opportunity. I'm going to go, right? Well, what if you're the guy that gets to call the shot and go, well, I can get a title match every week if I want. So it's hard for you to go, I don't really need to be the guy in there. I could even wheel. They don't have a ramp for a ring, so I'm not even going to get in there. So it's tough, right? It's hard to not try to say, I deserve, when it's really about building a product for you guys, right? You guys are the ones that, you guys need to see competition. You guys need to see these 2 guys go at it, or 4 guys go at it. It's a fight in there, and it's hard not to put yourself in the middle of that fight. So I will say that is a turning moment for these guys. Another turning moment for these guys was just simply when they all decided to stop doing what they felt was this business needed and started listening to what this business needed. The best advice I ever was given was, you give back. You don't just take. You don't owe. This business owes me nothing. I owe it. It gave me everything that I ever wanted. I went from national TV all over the world. People have seen my show in all sorts of countries, and it was great. It was an awesome feeling. At one point in time, Texas had 3 weekly promotions, not monthly shows, weekly shows. They were every Friday or every Saturday night, and they competed against each other all over. You had Arlington, you had North Richland Hills, and you had Denton, and sometimes you had them somewhere else. That was a great time. You don't have that right now. What you do have are great shows running once a month going that direction. Here's your chance to be part of a product that's building. It's laying its foundation for what you guys are going to get to see in 5 years. In 5 years, you're going to be at this show on a regular basis every week, seeing some of the greatest stuff. You might be sitting at home watching it on television instead of watching some other promotion that we could all probably name, right, that I just don't care about and I haven't watched in probably 10 years. Joey, how long has it been since you've seen? Yeah, exactly. That's my point. So I'm sure that me and Joey are on the same boat when it comes to commercial wrestling. How about we'll just call it that. So this is a great opportunity for you guys. I'm glad you guys get to come in and share it. I'm glad that you have a great place to come to see stuff like this, because there is a lot of crap out there, and I'm glad that this is rising up above all of that. So congratulations, keep going up, and I'll let you take this over so we can get this thing started.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open the doors here in a few moments, and we're going to get this show on the road. Thank you so much for being here tonight for Tales from the Ringside. Have a great show. Enjoy tonight. And thank you, Nite. Thank you, Bryan, Rodney, Mack, Joey, Corman, Johnny T, and thank all of you! How do we get on this out? What happened here? Yeah, I told you we were going to talk about that.